Welcome to a brand new release of Armory 3D. Another month, another version of Armory. So what do we have now? We have 25 new pull requests, which really is really good because we have 182 current pull requests for the entire year of 2022 for Armory 3D, which isn't bad considering most people think the game engine is dead. So we have the release of networking nodes finally officially here to stay. Networking nodes available for all platforms except for Chrome currently. I'm sure that's going to be worked on, but you can export it to any platform other than Chrome and networking will be possible. That means any sort of multiplayer game, you can start making that right now. Well, I say that, but there is an acute lack of documentation at the minute because it was released literally a day ago. We also have the release of a brand new time and date node. This allows us access to much more specific values, for example the day, the month, the year, the hours, the minutes, the seconds, the timestamps, and all of these things that you have access to. And if you combine that with some of the videos I've made in the past, like a couple of days ago, then you can actually start making some pretty cool stuff, which previously was a bit more tricky to make. It's always great to have a node that allows more control and more features. We also have, well, a bunch of bounties still available. We have all of these 5 bounties still available. Nobody's actually claimed them yet, so you should definitely go check them out if you're a coding whiz. If not, then you can just enjoy all the other bug fixes and new features that Armory has to offer in this December release of 2022. The first issue that was fixed was this weird reflection that happens sometimes in the scene when there isn't any other object to reflect, and that is actually something that I figured out and I made the issue for, and it was fixed almost instantly, so you don't need to worry about that anymore. We also have some fixes to the Armory Baker, which is actually something I plan on covering very soon on this video, so subscribe if you haven't already. The playstyle node, which had an update last month with the addition of a set volume at runtime option, has now been automatically set to 1 by default, so as soon as you use that node and play the game at runtime, your sound won't be turned off, it'll be set as default to 1, so play normally. We also have a fix for the uniform manager, which essentially means that now when you check that per object box when you want to use the material parameter, which is something that I covered entirely in this video, you can go ahead and make sure this applies per object as it's supposed to. This release, like every other, comes with a bunch of bug fixes and other changes that make the engine just that little bit better to use and a little less bug infested. In fact, nowadays it's getting harder and harder to find bugs, which is only a good thing. But we also have a new node, a physics raycasting related node, a convex casting node that allows you to essentially send a raycast out into space. This is something that you use very often when making bullets, for example, because physics, rigid body bullets, sometimes glitch through objects, but sending a raycast is like an echolocation. It bounces off the objects and it returns, for example, the object's name. You can do this except with the object's entire form. For example, if you want to send a raycast from your player with the actual form of your player, the scale of your player, to see if your player will fit through a gap in a wall, for example. That is not something that's possible with a small point raycast. So a very useful node that opens a whole new doorway to a bunch of possibilities. Now, as usual, Armory 3D comes with tons of bug fixes and other changes every single release, and so I'm not going to cover all of these bug fixes because they're not actually features you can access and use yourself. They're just things that allow for a general, better and smoother use of the Armory 3D game engine. So thank you for all the awesome contributors. I hope you keep this up because we have now a stabler engine than we did last month, and it's really exciting to see all the new features and to actually dig in and start using them. I'm going to be making a lot more tutorials, so you can go check out my channel where I already post a bunch of videos about hidden and unknown features and how to use specific tools of the Armory 3D game engine that you might have not even known existed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again someday.